Alright guys, welcome back. So I'm getting ready to put the harmonic balancer on. Now normally what you do is you just set the harmonic balancer over the crank snout here, and with a harmonic balancer installation tool you would just press it on until it bottoms out against that gear back there. However, because I have a Pro charger, it's going to be a little more complicated for my application here. The problem is that from the factory there's no keyway on the crank snout basically to lock it against the harmonic balancer. So with the supercharger, without a keyway or something to lock the crank snout to the harmonic balancer can rotate on the crank snout. So what you have to do is you take out, let's just pretend the harmonic balancer is here, you take out the harmonic balancer bolt, and then Pro Charger gives you a little alignment tool. You bolt it down to here, and there's a little locating hole, and from that hole you would drill it's about an inch down, and basically you're drilling halfway between the crank snout and halfway into the harmonic balancer, and then you install a pin in between the two of them, and that locks them together so the harmonic balancer can't rotate. But let me show you the harmonic balancer. Okay, so here's my harmonic balancer. The locating pin is still in there. As you can see, it's drilled like halfway through the harmonic balancer, and you saw the other half of that hole in the front of the crank snout. So I have a funny feeling this is going to be a little more difficult. I might have to like press it on a couple of times and remove it before I could get the holes lined up perfectly so that dowel pin falls center in the crank snout. But here's another problem. I'm going to leave that in as I try to press it. And of course I'm going to just be eyeballing this and trying my best to line it up. Now let's say I'm not centered. Let's say I'm off. Let's just say like a 1/16 of an inch. Now with the installation tool in place, you see it's basically covering where that pin is. So if I'm off about a 1/16 of an inch, I should feel resistance. It should stop, and there should be resistance. And I hope I don't mangle the other end of this and it gets forced into place, but I'm hoping that's what happens. So that's my problem right now. So let me try to eyeball this and get this on there the best I can, and we'll see what happens. I'll be back. Okay, so I got my harmonic balancer in place. I think that's pretty much lined up. Looks okay from here. So I'm going to take my installation tool. I showed you guys this in an earlier video. It's that right there. I got it off of eBay. I forgot how much. 20 bucks, 25 bucks, something like that. Give me a second. Okay, so I got the harmonic balancer installation tool just threaded in. Now I'm going to take a wrench and tighten this bolt and start the press on process. So I'll be back. Okay, so I started to thread it on. I went in maybe like a 1/4 of an inch and I took it out. Just wanted to check the alignment, make sure it didn't like spin or come off a little. I'll continue pressing on a little more, and then I'll take it back out just to check the progress. All right, I'll be back. I want to show you guys real quick. You know, as I crank down on this, it moves very easily. So I think it's going in. I think my alignment was good on the first shot. So I'm going to go one more, and then I'm going to pull it back out and check it out. All right, so now I'm going to undo this, and I'll check it out and I'll be back. Okay, so I took out the installation tool and it looks like it's going in perfect on the first shot. I'm impressed. I usually don't have that kind of luck. Alright guys, I got the harmonic balancer pressed in and fully seated. Now if you guys recall earlier from one of my earlier videos, when I was getting ready to remove this, I took a measurement because sometimes people are like concerned, well, how do I know when to start? When is it fully seated? What does fully seated mean? So if your harmonic balancer hasn't been pulled out, what I told you to do was I told you to use a 6-inch digital caliper, and I told you to place it here, and then you extend it, you turn this wheel with your thumb until that strikes it, and yeah, I just did it. Now if you recall, I got a measurement of, it's bouncing here, I had previously gotten a measurement of 0.125. Now that I pressed it back on, I'm getting 0.126, but alright guys, let's talk about now torquing the harmonic balancer bolt. For right here in front of me I have a stock type bolt, and then I have the ARP harmonic balancer bolt. Let's just look at some of the differences quickly. Well, the ARP one is longer if you're standing on a table like this, but that's because the head, as you can see, the head is a lot larger on the ARP harmonic balancer bolt. So the stock bolt has the threads coming further down the bolt. The ARP has the threads more towards the bottom end of the bolt. The head is obviously larger on the ARP bolt, which is the one on the right. The washer is thicker. The base of the the base of the harmonic balancer bolt is thicker on the ARP, and the ARP is a 12-point bolt versus the stock one, which is a 6-point bolt. The ARP bolt takes a 1 1/16 12-point socket. The stock one uses a 24mm 6-point socket. Now let's talk about the stock harmonic balancer bolt. The stock harmonic balancer bolt is what's called a torque to yield bolt, which means it's only intended to be used one time. Some people do use them over. I don't recommend it. So, what is recommended for a stock harmonic balancer bolt? The proper torque sequence is you got to get yourself a new one, and then you take your old bolt. Thread it into the crank once your harmonic balancer is fully seated, and they want you to torque this old bolt to 240 foot-pounds, which is rather difficult. So once you have this torque to 240 foot-pounds, unbolt it, remove it, discard it, take your new torque to yield harmonic balancer bolt, install it, torque this new bolt down to 37 foot-pounds, and then they want you to turn the bolt another 140 degrees. So get yourself one of these. These are very cheap, $10 or $15. You can buy them anywhere. Try to do this with one hand. Hold on. Set it to 0. And then with this here, you could loosen this nut here. And then basically you find any place where you could wedge this in between to hold it from the whole assembly rotating. Because you want to lock it down. See, I'm going to hold it down with my pinky. And if you lock it down, then you could turn it. But if you don't lock it down, you're not going to be able to use the tool properly. So set it to 0 and then turn it 140 degrees. So that's 120, 130, 140 right there. So that's a stock bolt. That's the sequence that's recommended. Now I'm using the ARP harmonic balancer bolt, which basically, here's the instructions from ARP. They just want you to tighten the balancer bolt to 235 foot-pounds. That's difficult, but we'll give it a shot. They also say to lubricate the threads of the bolt. So put the ARP assembly torque lube on the threads of the bolt. Also place it on the underhead of the bolt. So this part right here, put some right down here. And the front face of the balancer. So where the washer is going to contact the front of the harmonic balancer, put some there. So it doesn't say to put any on the washer. It says then install the washer onto the bolt and install the bolt hand tight. And then torque it to 235 foot-pounds. So since you're going to have assembly lube on the base of the head here, you don't need to put it on the washer, and since you're going to have it on the front face of the harmonic balancer, you don't need to put any on the front face of the washer here. So that's it. That's how I'm going to do it. Alright, I'm going to be back in a little bit. Wish me luck. I'll let you know how it goes. I forgot if I mentioned, the proper way to lock down the motor is you get a tool from GM. It's like a flywheel holder, I believe it's called. And it bolts to where about the starter goes, and it has some teeth on it. The teeth meet up with the teeth of the flywheel, and then that locks the motor in place. That's the proper way to do it. I don't have that, so again, my car's in 6th gear. The wheels are chocked really well, and I'm going to give it a shot. Try to reach those torque numbers that are recommended by ARP. But if your motor is out of the car, it's easier to use that tool, but with the motor in the car, there's really no room to do this. So I'm just telling you how I'm doing it. And again, the car's in 6th gear, the wheels are chocked. I even put the spark plugs back in, so you know the motor's harder to turn over. So that's it. All right, I'll be back. Wish me luck. Okay, so I put some ARP Ultra Torque Lube on the threads and on the base of the bolt, and I also put it on the front face of the harmonic balancer. So now I'm getting ready. Let me put that washer back on, that'll help. So now I'm getting ready to torque it. I'll be back. Alright, I'm a little bit winded. I got it torqued to 235 foot-pounds as ARP recommends. Let me show you how I did it. First of all, I lowered the car on the lift. I lowered the lift. I got it about 3 feet off the ground. I'll show you. I'm using this is a Craftsman 13919 digital torque wrench. It goes up to 250 foot-pounds. I think it starts at 25. So I placed it on there. You're going to need leverage. This is the whole thing. So I'll show you what I did. I got it on there. And I laid on my back on the ground. I put my feet up against this ramp. And with both hands, I pulled back and down as hard as I could. Sometimes you just got to get creative. So that's how I did it. Laid on my back. We got the car up about 2.5, 3 feet off the ground. Both arms pulled down and cranked on that SOB. Now, I did it in steps. I didn't know if I'd be able to hit 235 foot-pounds. So I started at 150. I hit 150, no problem. Then I went to 185, got it. Then I went to 200, I got it. Then I went to 235, and I was able to hit that number too. So that's how I did it. I don't know how you guys are going to be doing this at your home or at work or your shop or whatever, but that's how I did it. All right, guys. Okay, just one more thing before I forget. See that white mark? If you remember, I had originally made a blue mark on the crank snout for top dead center because you couldn't see the timing mark on the lower crankshaft gear. So I transferred it over. So roughly, approximately, that's where top dead center is. You know, doesn't really help much because you can't see the cam, but it will help you out somewhat if you ever need to try to figure out where top dead center is. At least it gives you one reference point. Alright guys, that's it. Thank you again for watching. Please click the like and subscribe button, and if there's anything I can do to help you out, I'll try my best. Thank you for watching. Have a